Coming up on CTV News tonight, we take a look at the earthquake-hit Waimakariri district and Canterbury's ITM Cup home ground. Welcome to CTV News, I'm Rob Cope-Williams. There's some uncertainty for those living in the Waimakariri district, with earthquake repairs put on hold. Emily Cooper has more.
With the government's land announcement last week, came reassurance for residents who'd been waiting for news about their homes and lands since the quakes. But for the Waimakariri district, restoration work has been put on hold. The district was hit hard by both the September and February quakes, and MP Clayton Cosgrove says the earthquake-affected residents are now in a holding pattern.
I don't have any information. I just spent a couple of hours with about 30 residents in Sewell Street in Kaiapoi, and they're in the orange zone. They don't have any information, just everything stopped. 2 days ago the bulldozers were about to roll. Mr Brownlee pulled the pin on that, and we're now in a holding pattern. After the council had just completed putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think, of sewer system. All the services are up. They were confirmed that they were to be repaired and rebuilt, and then suddenly out of nowhere, with no forewarning, even the mayor and the chief executive of the Waimak Council were told a couple of hours beforehand they're toast.
Mr Cosgrove had a community meeting this morning and says people are frustrated and angry due to a lack of information. He says residents also can't get answers from the EQC or from their insurance companies.
It's about treating people with respect, giving them information so that they can actually put a plan together, put a routine together and cope with how things are going as best they can. If people know sort of the milestones and the sort of time frame, then they'll take action and they'll get into a routine. It might be ugly, but you know, they'll get their lives moving again.
Mr Cosgrove believes people are now questioning the government's deal and that people are going to remain worse off from the quakes.
People are now questioning the government's deal and are quite concerned. Certainly there were 3 or 4 cases this morning at this meeting where people had worked out they were going to be possibly $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 in the red.
Waimakariri Mayor David Ayres says repairs were put on hold as the government is looking further at the land because it's now thought the quake was a 1 in 100 year event rather than a 1 in 500. He says he's no idea what's happening next.
Well, we're on hold really because at the moment the government is reinvestigating all the land, and we suffered a lot of land damage in the Kaiapoi, Pines and Karaki area. It has decided through Sarah that Karaki Beach will be in a red zone, but while some residents are probably accepting of that, it's quite a vocal group of residents who understandably say we want to stay here, and so that's an issue for our district at the moment.
Karaki Beach is now red zoned and some residents are refusing to leave, while most of the Waimakariri area is orange zoned. But Mayor Ayres says there's plenty of sections ready to purchase.
We were well on the track to starting our land remediation program in Kaiapoi and in Pines and Karaki, and the government asked us to put that on hold. And so in many ways the people of our area have less clarity than they had a couple of months ago.
Both feel positive about the temporary housing, but so far only 22 houses are being built in Kaiapoi, and there are around 10 to 12,000 houses that still could potentially be red zoned.
I think they've been very good. I've been down there and had a look. They're nice, neat, simple, modern dwellings. They're warm for people. They'll be better than what some people are living in now. They're building them very, very fast. I think they got one up literally in about, I think there's sort of 21 days per house they're getting them up. It's pretty incredible.
Well, we've got a temporary housing village, which, as you know, in Kaiapoi at the moment, that's only got 22 houses in it, I think. Our temporary housing building program is also on hold because we don't know what the demand will be as a result of future decisions through the government. So we're anticipating up to 200, but we don't really know how many we'll need now. With the government's announcements on red zoning and green zoning in Kaiapoi, we just don't know what those are going to be.
While the future is uncertain for the district, one thing that is certain is that the temporary village in Kaiapoi is due to open in a couple of weeks.
CTV reported last week a series of community meetings for people from the residential red zone were held Friday and over the weekend. That's after the government's land announcement last week. Sarah Chief Executive Roger Sutton and his staff attended 21 meetings in Christchurch's worst affected suburbs in Kaiapoi. Mr Sutton says that they have provided valuable feedback and insight for the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority. About 3,000 people went to the meetings. Mr Sutton says that they didn't have all the answers at this stage, but says now Sarah has got a clearer understanding of the issues and the questions. He says representatives at the meetings from insurance companies and the Earthquake Commission also took issues for consideration. He also says that while Sarah continues to work with red zone residents, work is also progressing for the 10,000 residents in the orange zone, and they'll be hearing more in the near future. Coming up after the break, we take a look at the new home ground for Canterbury's ITM Cup Games. The month of June is Bowel Cancer Awareness Month. Bowel cancer kills more New Zealanders than prostate and breast cancer. Pete Smith is trying to raise awareness, and he visited his doctor today.
Okay, so Peter, thanks very much for coming in to see me today, and obviously the reason that you're here is to talk about having a colonoscopy. And while that's a bit of a scary thing to think about, what I really want to go through with you today is telling you why that's a good thing to do, telling you what the procedure involves and how we're going to go about it in a week's time. So the big thing I want to point out to you is on this graph here, which you can see, and this is a graph that shows the age along the bottom here and then the risk of developing bowel cancer. And what you can see is that as we all get older, our risk of developing bowel cancer will increase. And what we really want to do is to prevent bowel cancer if we can by finding polyps or diagnose it very early, which means a better outcome for patients. So Pete, do you know much about what a colonoscopy involves?
Not really, I'm just an ignorant male, what you'd expect. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll introduce you to my part of the world. So this is the gastrointestinal tract, and the great thing about the gastrointestinal tract is that it's very accessible to being tested. And we can do that by using a flexible instrument called an endoscope to look into various parts of the gastrointestinal tract. So here we can put an endoscope in through the anus, through the rectum, around the sigmoid colon, up here across the transverse colon, and down to the cecum, and we can even see the inside of where your appendix hangs off if you've still got one.
I have.
Excellent. Well, we'll be able to report back on how that looks in a week's time.
Massive area, isn't it? I wouldn't have realised it was that big.
It is a large area, but in saying that, it's very accessible by the tests that we have, and we're able to get around people's bowel very easily. The things that we'll really be looking for you are polyps in the first instance, because polyps are pre-cancerous lesions, and if we can remove polyps, and we can do that by snaring them and removing them, then we can prevent cancers being formed.
Can you do that at the time you're performing the colonoscopy?
Absolutely. So what we do is there's a channel down the scope that I'll show you that we can put instruments down to remove lesions or take biopsies or those sorts of things. So we can do those things all at the time that you're having the procedure done. So as with any test, while there are benefits to having it done, which is trying to identify problems and prevent them becoming a major health problem, there are also some risks. And the risks that you need to be aware of if you're going to have this procedure include getting dehydrated from the bowel preparation, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But also sometimes if we are doing a colonoscopy, we might make a hole in the lining of the bowel or even cause bleeding, but that's very rare to happen. It's very, very uncommon. So it doesn't tend to be something that would put us off having the procedure done because it would happen in less than 1 in 1,000 cases, for example. 2 days before the procedure, we're going to get you to start to alter your diet so that the day before your procedure, you're really having no solids at all, just really having a liquid diet of clear fluids and those sorts of things. That ensures you maintain good hydration and you don't get too dehydrated, but it also means that there's not much food going through to become feces, which could obstruct our view of the bowel, which would be a real problem. Following that, there's some very special stuff I've got for you to take, which is something which the manufacturers call Pico Prep, but which we tend to call liquid dynamite. This Pico Prep pulls fluid from your body into your bowel, and that dehydrates you. So it's really important you keep lots of fluids up, because we don't want you getting dehydrated and fainting or anything like that. We want you to make sure you've got lots of fluids on board. So then the morning of the procedure, we get you to stop having anything to eat or drink a few hours before. So on the day, what's going to happen is you're going to come into the endoscopy unit, and the nurses are going to go through and check that everything's okay and do blood pressure checks and those sorts of things. Then you're going to come into the endoscopy room where we'll pop a drip into a vein, and which will allow us to give you medication that will make you sleepy and relax for the procedure. And then after the procedure, you'll go through and have a bit of a sleep in the recovery area, before which time when I come out and have a chat to you and tell you exactly what I've found and what needs to happen after that.
Now, you may be able to tell me that on the day, you may not be.
Correct. So polyps can be benign or ones that have got the potential to become cancers, and often it's hard to distinguish that by looking at them.
So, next week on
That's
the blocks.
the plan. We'll see you then. I want you to remember that you're my friend now, and I want you to remain my friend after you've had this stuff, if that's okay. But remember to drink plenty of fluid while you're having that to avoid dehydration. The big thing to remember is that thousands of these procedures are done every year in Christchurch and around the world. There are very experienced people that do them. We do them all the time, and you're in safe hands.
All right. See you in a week's time.
Excellent.
Looking forward to it.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good on you, Pete. With AMI Stadium out of action, Rugby Park will be Canterbury's training ground and will get a revamp to host ITM Cup games.
Canterbury's home ITM Cup games will be hosted at Rugby Park this season, and the hallowed home ground of Canterbury Rugby is currently being whipped into shape ahead of Saturday's Shield game. ITM Cup assistant Tabai Matson says defending Shield champions Canterbury are looking forward to playing their first game of the season on the not-so-unfamiliar turf of Rugby Park on Saturday afternoon.
We're probably lucky. We know this ground really intimately.
Mm-hmm.
The guys live here, we train here, so we know the ground really, really well. So we think it's a real home ground, and it's a massive advantage for us.
Tabai says fans are also eagerly anticipating the return of afternoon matches as Rugby Park is unable to host night games.
We've had an amazing amount of positive responses from the public, just about 2:30 footy, sun on back. So yeah, it's really exciting.
And he says the team will be feeling the pressure defending the log this year with an early start to the season ahead of the World Cup.
Pressure's an interesting word. There's a lot of anticipation when you have with the log on offer that there's going to be a big season and big games. So yeah, with the World Cup starting, it's always interesting having that on offer so early. Yes.
The truncated ITM Cup season this year means that games will be played throughout the week and on Saturdays, so keeping the squad fighting fit will be more important than ever.
Management is probably the critical thing.
Yep.
You know, being able to recover is going to be a recovery-a-thon. Your ability to play on a Saturday and get back up to 100% before a Wednesday game is actually critical to even competing.
Yep.
So yeah, management is going to be on our minds every single training.
This ITM Cup will also be an opportunity for up-and-coming players to prove themselves, with a host of new talent joining the side this year.
Every year the ITM Cup, and for us, offers a new and exciting talent. We've got 12 people playing their first game for Canterbury in the Shield game this weekend. So, and every year people are putting their hands up for higher honours, or there's some real gems coming through, and this year's no different.
Coming up after the break, your local weather. Welcome back. Well, here's Emily with what's happening in Christchurch over the weekend.
Hi everyone, welcome to What's On. Firstly, I hope you all saw our City Life interview with Central City Plan project sponsor Michael Thielen, who was on the show to talk about this weekend's 48-hour design challenge to redesign parts of the Central City. The Christchurch City Council is running the event at the School of Landscape Architecture at Lincoln University, with 15 teams of industry representatives registered. Each project will be judged based on criteria developed by the Central City Plan team relating to the incorporation of public space, green building elements, seismic stability and economic feasibility. Important things. And local Americans are planning to celebrate the traditional Independence Day 4th of July holiday this weekend, with celebrations taking place at the Cashmere Club on Sunday the 3rd of July from 1:30 until 4. Festivities will include USA music, USA-themed face painting and much more. There's no charge to attend, and first-time visitors are welcome and are invited to register on admin1 at american-club-chicha.org, or for more information go to www.american-club-chicha.org. Well, its future was uncertain after the quakes, but the Armageddon Expo is back and will be held on the 2nd and 3rd at Addington Raceway. The Expo was originally due to be held in April, but was postponed after the February quake. The show will feature exhibitions from around Christchurch and New Zealand, And we'll have DVD and gaming sales, V Energy display and gaming, comics, collectibles, swords and more, plus Fear Facting Eating Challenge, an ice cream eating contest, cartoon movie screening, trading card tournaments, PlayStation and Microsoft Gaming Zone and a Time Zone arcade. Sounds pretty interesting. Entry to the event is $5 and children under 5 are free. Doors open at 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And another craft fair is on in Christchurch. On Saturday the 2nd, the Winter and Craftment Market will be held at Villa Maria College Hall from 10 until 3. And don't forget, Press Cup Rugby is on, and this weekend Christ College will take on St Andrews. You can watch that on CTV at 11 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Sunday. If you've got any events you'd like us to mention, you can email me, emily.cooper@ctv.co.nz, or call us here at CTV on 3777 033. That's 3777 033. I'll see you all back here next week.
Well, Pete Smith hit the streets today in Street Talk to ask, should we consider building one Christchurch cathedral that'll be fully interdenominational?
As the cost of rebuilding our city, the cost seems to just go up and up every day, doesn't it? I've been wondering, wouldn't it be a good idea to just build one Christchurch cathedral? Make it interdenominational, and that means that everybody can use the one facility. To duplicate with 2 or 3 cathedrals just seems to me to be way over the top with all the building that has to go on in the city. That's the Street Talk question today. Let's find out what Canterburyans think. Would one cathedral do the job?
Each denomination would rather have their own cathedral. I mean, you can have multi-denominational cathedrals, but where do you hold multi-denominational services at special events, you know, at Christmas? Do people want to have the same denominational event? I would put back 3 cathedrals.
I think it's a good idea. I think we have a religious situation now where everybody's combined together. I think it's most probably a bloody good idea. Actually.
I believe in that.
Yeah.
Definitely. But there'll be lots of people that don't.
Yeah.
And really, where's the funding come from?
I'm from the Netherlands, so I don't understand you.
You do so?
No.
Eh?
No.
You've got cathedrals in the Netherlands?
Cathedrals? No. Do we have?
Yeah. Sure you do.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me, yeah?
Yeah, I do actually, because it's going to cost a hell of a lot to get it done. And if you don't do something, well, we need the cathedral in the square.
I personally like that idea. I know everybody doesn't, and I don't believe necessarily that the 2 church groups will feel that way about it. But I'm an atheist. So.
Yeah,
yes, I agree with you. That would be a good idea.
Like that idea?
I do.
A certain degree of logic in that.
Actually, I've not got a lot of opinion on that. I'm not.
I just think it would free up some money, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I've not got an opinion. I'm so sorry.
It's a lovely idea.
Do you think it would work?
But I think the heritage for each denomination is very important.
Oh, wrong person to ask about
Why?
that. No, I have quite strong religious beliefs.
I'd love to hear. Would you go to an interdenominational cathedral?
No, I wouldn't.
Right.
That's a damn good idea.
You like that?
I do.
Yeah.
And where would you site it?
That's what I'm going to ask you. Where would you put it?
West of where the existing square is at the moment.
I'm not religious, so...
No, but that doesn't matter.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm a Catholic, so
yes.
I like having the Catholic cathedral.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to keep it separate and yeah.
I suppose I'm not religious in any way, so it wouldn't affect me personally.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, free up some money, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Well, it's better than having a few.
Yes.
Where would you site it?
The city centre,
yeah.
Wherever that's going to be.
Right,
where they
okay.
decide
Not necessarily Cathedral Square.
No, not necessarily.
Just have the one?
Yep.
Yeah, because the numbers are falling that go, and it would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, why waste all the money building all different ones?
There's so many other things we could do, isn't there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'd stick the same spot on some stable land.
Which would...
I would want it near the centre of town rather than further west.
Yeah.
But however long that's going to take, but a rebuild of the cathedral is the same thing. It'll take a long time.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah.
Do you like Cathedral Square though?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know back where it was.
Yeah, it seemed a good spot, didn't it?
It's always been there.
So there we are. We've asked Canterburyans what do they really think. By and large, I think economically they can see the advantage, but I still think a lot of them still want to retain the independence of their own religion and perhaps have their own place to go to. Not always economics is what determines how best to go forward. So you make up your own mind. That was the Street Talk question today, and I'm sure you'll be talking about it at home.
And that's CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.